Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in to Vidiot Entertainment Studios for this episode of Vidiot Movie Reviews. I'm the nerd Lust Daddy, and today we continue our series reviewing every North American live-action video game film adaptation theatrical release. And for today's episode, we dive back into the world of martial arts as we review the adaptation of an iconic cheesecake fighting game classic, 2007's DOA Dead or Alive. Oh my goodness. You said it, Pidds. Let's dive into this one and see if it's just empty calories like its genre slang moniker, or if it has some real substance to it. Now, DOA Dead or Alive was released in North American theaters on June 15th, 2007. At this time, 6 games had been released in the franchise, along with numerous updates, console-specific versions, and a compilation. We're going to skip listing the updates and console-specific versions along with the compilation, so that leaves us with Dead or Alive, Dead or Alive 2, Dead or Alive 3, Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball, Dead or Alive 4, and Dead or Alive Extreme 2. Based on watching the film and our research into the franchise, we're going to use everything except for Dead or Alive 4 for comparison. Yes, even the volleyball games. You'll see why later. Now, the plot of the mainline fighting games revolves around the Dead or Alive Tournament Executive Committee, or DOA Tech for short. DOA Tech is run by Dr. Victor Donovan, who ruthlessly had the original founder and CEO, Helena Douglas, father of recurring DAO fighter Helena Douglas, murdered due to a dispute over how DOA Tech's tournament and research should be used. After taking over DOA Tech, Donovan continues to hold the yearly DOA tournament in order to find the best fighters in the world so that they can use them to attempt to create a superhuman fighter. Typically, this is done through either analyzing data of the fighters, cloning them, and/or using biogenetic science. Throughout the series, the cast of recurring fighters enter the tournament due to varying motivations, such as Helena entering in order to find out what happened to her father, and Kasumi entering in order to seek revenge against her uncle, Rado, that took part in the tournament and crippled her brother Hayate during it. Part of the film involves a group of master martial artists and fighters being invited by DOA Tech to an island to partake in the DOA tournament, who are all attending due to their own personal motivations. The main plot-facing fighters are Kasumi, the shinobi princess that leaves her clan under penalty of death to go in search of her brother Hayate, who competed in the previous tournament and is presumed dead. Tina, a professional wrestler out to prove she isn't fake and is a real fighter. Christy, the master assassin and thief with plans of robbing the rumored Douglas family vault that's located somewhere on the island. And Hayabusa, friend to Hayate and Kasumi, who follows her to protect her. And also Helena Douglas, daughter to Helena Douglas, who seeks answers to her father's death. Now, setting everything in motion is Dr. Victor Donovan, who is the organizer of the tournament and head of DOA Tech after Helena Douglas's death. And secretly, he intends to use the tournament to develop biotechnology that allows its users to become a super fighter able to predict and counter any fighting style, while he's also hiding his involvement in the death of Helena Douglas. So it looks like the movie is loosely pulling from, or outright altering plot lines from many of the games. For example, Kasumi joining the tournament to seek revenge for the presumed death of her brother at the hands of their uncle, and Ryu Hayabusa following her and joining the tournament so he could keep an eye on her is a loose adaptation of the canonical main plot of the first game. The main difference being that in the game her brother's death is presumed to be at the hands of their uncle, while in the film, how he died during the tournament happens to remain a mystery still. Helena joins in the second game to find out how the tournament is connected to the deaths of her parents, while in the film she takes part to find out more about the death of her father. Donovan consistently running the tournament in order to try and create superhuman fighters and technology is a constant thread throughout the games and just varies in the film in its method of execution. Really, what we have here is clearly an adaptation of multiple storylines spanning many of the games. While not exact adaptations of everyone's motives, I have to admit it would be hard to do so. Furthermore, let's be real here, the backstories for fighting games are just excuses to get a bunch of badass fighters together and kick some ass. So I think I can give this at least a passing hawoo. Pidds, what did you think of the plot?
Hawoo.
Let's get into setting and world representation. Now, did they nail the setting? Well, it is a fighting tournament held on an island with fights that happen in multiple different backdrops within that location. So check for setting. What about representation though? Honestly, the fights themselves are pretty decent. I expected them to be half-assed with terrible choreography, but they are actually pretty enjoyable. We also have numerous characters from the series who show up. We'll cover some of them here that are more of side characters in this film than they are main characters. Most of them do look the part, such as Bass, played by famed wrestler Kevin Nash, Ayane, Zach, Leon, and Bayman, to name a few. And remember when I said we would use the volleyball games for representation? Well, guess what? We get a volleyball scene complete with skimpy bikinis and overly used slow-mo and provocative camera angles for maximum cheesecake consumption. So check for representing those games. Two misses for me though are first the representation of Ryu Hayabusa. This guy looks nothing like the iconic ninja of Ninja Gaiden and DOA fame. He looks more like any generic martial arts character you've ever seen. Second, they tried way too hard to represent the video game by having monitors throughout the island that allow spectators to watch the fights, and those monitors have overlays on them showing the fighters' names and health on them ripped straight from the game's UI. This is definitely a case of taking the source material way too literally. Other than these issues though, I think they did a pretty good job, and I can give setting and world representation a hawoo. Pidds, what did you think?
Hawoo.
Let's get into characters and cover the four main protagonists and stars of this movie that really drive the plot. We'll start off with Helena Douglas, played by Sarah Carter, probably most notable for her TV roles in such series as Smallville and The Flash. Here she plays the daughter to famed Douglas, who takes part in the tournament in order to discover what happened to her father. She comes off as a strong fighter determined to make a name for herself while struggling with the loss of her father. Out of the four female leads, she's actually one of my favorites and more believable. I can give her a hawoo. Pidds, your thoughts?
Hawoo.
Christy, portrayed by Holly Valance. She has a smaller acting portfolio, but may be most recognizable from her role as Shira in Taken or her recurring role as Nika Volek in Season 1 and 2 of Prison Break. Here she plays Christy, the master assassin and thief who, along with her partner Max, are intent upon finding the rumored Douglas vault and robbing it. Her portrayal comes off as decent, as a skilled fighter within the tournament, but is definitely one of the roles used for cheesecake effect. I can, at the most, give her a passing hawoo. Pidds, your take on Christy?
Hawoo.
Kasumi, played by Devon Aoki, probably most recognizable for her supporting roles in Too Fast, Too Furious and Sin City. Here she plays the shinobi princess who has joined the tournament to find out what happened to her brother. This character didn't really resonate with me, as I found her attempts at being a serious and stoic ninja to be a bit cheesy and flat. I get that ninjas are supposed to be highly trained and in control of their emotions, but it just didn't feel genuine. Even being perhaps what one would consider the main lead out of the four female protagonists, she just didn't really bring it for me. Unfortunately, I have to give her a chit futter. Pidds, your insight?
Chit futter.
Tina Armstrong, portrayed by Jamie Presley, who's probably the most recognizable of everyone in this cast, and is notable for her role as Joy Turner in the TV series My Name is Earl. Here, she plays female wrestler and daughter to famous wrestler Bass, who's out to prove to the world that her skills aren't fake and just for show. She comes off as confident, cocky, and skilled, with the portrayal being a little over the top and cheesy, but not in a bad way. She's actually surprisingly one of my favorite characters within this film here, so I can definitely give her a hawoo. Pidds?
Hawoo.
Alright, time for the final round and to get down to final verdicts here on this Cheesecake Fighter adaptation. Let's turn to the Pidds first. Pidds, what did you think of the film?
Chit futter. This is cheesecake trash.
I have to agree with the Pidds here. There are so many things wrong with this film. There's the weird instance of them overrepresenting the game with those DOA UI overlays on the screen spectators use to watch the matches. There are instances where we see the tournament bracket displayed for everyone, but it is not accurate to what has happened in the film up to that point. There's the super cheesy way they have a character bio introduction upon receiving their invitations to the tournament that yet again seem as if they are trying to represent the game too literally by having a voiceover sound their name off like the character has just been locked in on a character select screen. There are instances where swords are being used and they look like they CGI'd them in instead of using actual practical stunt weapons. The acting is cheesy or flat in a lot of areas, and finally, we have to top it off with the cheesecake factor. I get that DOA's shtick is the fan service and cheesecake factor, but strip away the jiggly bits and provocative camera angles from the games, and you still have one of the fighting game genre's top tier titles out there. Strip those away from this movie, and all you have left is some pretty good fight scenes along with stretches of boring and cheesy dialogue. At most, I can give this a 2s out of 10s. It gets a point for existing and a point for the pretty cool fighting scenes. Stay away from this one unless you're a hardcore DOA fan, are seriously into fan service and cheesecake, and think you may be able to find the cheesy dialogue entertaining in that it's so bad it's good kind of way. The Pidds and I want to thank you all for once again tuning into Vidiot Entertainment Studios for this episode of Vidiot Movie Reviews. If you enjoyed our video, please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and share to show your support. And don't forget, also check us out and subscribe on Twitch as well as follow us on Twitter. Until next time, I'm the Nerd Lust Daddy, as always reminding you all to not be chit futters to each other. Body autonomy for all, reproductive rights for women, and peace, love, and happiness to all. Pidds, get us the hell out of here.
Thanks for watching. Bye bye, everyone.